Apocalypse Rising was a very successful game back in 2014. It was always being mentioned and boasted in the official ROBLOX blogs. The game was always on the front page, having thousands of players at once. At the time, this was considered huge for the community size. Perhaps it was even the next gen of ROBLOX gaming. Players joined ROBLOX just to play Apocalypse Rising. The survival game was based around exploring the open and free world. It was one of the first games on ROBLOX to introduce a concept like this, and no other game at the time was this well made, both in gameplay and in visuals. Almost every player at the time knew about the game or even played it themselves. The objective in Apocalypse Rising was simple: kill zombies and other players that pose a threat to you. Look for loot in buildings and on other players as well. It could take up to hours to gather good loot. You needed weapons and ammo to defend yourself, preferably the military loot, food and drinks so you wouldn't die, various equipment and tools to make your life easier, and first aid supplies to heal you just in case you were wounded. Having all these things and you were considered a stacked player. Once you gather enough loot, you could become the elite and skilled snipers, having nothing but drum mags and an M14 and arguably the best loot in the game. You will now see your average Apocalypse Rising gameplay.
What? How do I get teleport? What? Huh? How did I die? What? Oh my god, this game sucks! This game is garbage!
Apocalypse Rising was a failure caused by a certain community. Hackers, tutorials everywhere. One managed to get 250,000 views. The game was in deep trouble. The smart player would go into dead servers, straight to MA, loot it, go to the forest, loot, and repeat this process for hours on end until they achieved the ultimate war machine loadout. However, in more popular servers, it was a free-for-all game until you died from a hacker.
Bruh.
You had to grind hours to get good loot, and when you die, you lose your loot, mostly from hackers. Players were triggered. Guided players exist too. People could teleport you, people could clone items. Hell, exploiters could even kick you from the game. The hackers had full control. The game was obviously great. The game added combat logging, which made things worse. Die by a hacker, leave the game. Wait, red flashing means you lose your loot when you leave the game. There was a staff team, but it was small, and Discord didn't exist back then either, so reporting was useless. Even if they did get banned, the player would just make another account for free and repeat the process. Gus had to step in. Players dropped respect. Gus was getting quite upset. Numerous players quit the game and blamed Gus for not doing anything about the hackers. These are just a few examples, as most of the hate was in the commentary section of the game, but it was removed. Gus made this tweet: "Roblox will eventually take care of it. Thanks to outs, we cannot do anything about it." Gus clearly could not fix it, and Roblox certainly wasn't going to fix it for him. Despite Roblox boasting about the game's success and how wonderful the game is, this didn't really matter when a game ending problem was marching the game to the heavens, and Roblox didn't care because the security system is not good in the first place. It is so bad that children are able to watch a tutorial on YouTube for free and exploit the game themselves within 5 seconds of watching the video. Backtracking a bit here, many players start to hate AR and Gus overall. Claims of laziness and he didn't care for AR were thrown around, but many did not realize that it wasn't his fault, and he did attempt to fix the exploits, but they failed. And let's say he did fix it, it would only work for a week at max, and then it would go back to normal with hackers roaming and Apocalypse Rising and curb stopping entire servers while making players rage quit. These patches were not easy to make either. They could range anywhere from hours worth of coding to days worth of coding. This wasn't worth doing with such a small development team, and it was better to focus on other things instead. One constant criticism made by fans was that Gus should just hire more developers, and doing this not only costs money, but also trust. It was either be destroyed by hackers or possibly be destroyed by your own friends and your development team. Hiring random people in an actual professional workspace, such as an actual gaming company, would hurt your work history and affect you for life if you did decide to troll. But doing the same with a non-official company / non-actual job, yeah, you can do whatever you want and nothing would occur. It's epic win time. A perfect analogy of this is joining an Apocalypse Rising server, grinding for hours to get the best loot, and losing it all in 2 nanoseconds to a hacker. It just wasn't worth playing. It wasn't worth patching. However, there was a problem with Gus: lack of communication. This is what contributed to the cause of hate. Not once did he publicly and openly talk about the fixes for the exploits or even mention it as a game problem anywhere on the game page. He did mention it on his Twitter, but his Twitter was barely known by anyone, as most of his tweets back then had 3 likes or none. However, he did tweet out this: "The only updates we make without telling people what we did are those related to exploiting. Bad move." If he did publicly talk about it, perhaps the backlash from fans would have been a lot less. I figured he left this out so exploiters couldn't find out so easily about the patches, but this didn't matter as they generally went around within 5 days or so, or they just used another type of hack that wasn't fixed. Overall, this was a lose situation instead of a gain situation. In early 2015 and late 2014, many places on the front page, including apoc, were in the process of being stolen by exploiters. This was a major security flaw left in by Roblox. As people got free copies, modded games were being made of apoc from other players, and some fans would flock to these games as some promised or offered better security and gameplay. And since the game was leaked, the masterminds behind the hacks had even more power now. They had all of the game's coding. Hacks got even more severe and hampered the gameplay even more, to the point where server crashing was available and sound trolling was a thing. This was also the year Roblox announced the event known as Winter Games. Popular games were selected, and these popular games still had an exploiter problem. Many players didn't like the event due to the fact that they were constantly being killed by hacks, and of course, Roblox didn't respond to the feedback nor talk about the problem. apoc was starting to severely decline in player count. The death of apoc was near. Around 2016, the plug was finally being pulled on the game. Announced by Gusmadak, Apocalypse Rising will receive no further future updates. In an attempt to add a HUD toggle, we broke guns completely. It is clear that the game is too old to reliably support new features. In this case, we spent 3 days working on this Halloween event, and all of that time could have been spent on Apocalypse Rising 2. Gusmadak spent weeks trying to fix the game from hackers, but it was no use. A new feature did come out that would filter enable games from Roblox, disabling nearly all of the severe hacks that apoc was facing in other games as well. But when you applied FE to older games, it broke a lot of the stuff, and Roblox didn't really care about it. There was no hope. The game had to be rebuilt with FE in order to work properly. After the official announcement, the player count tanked hard. apoc Reddit threads talked about the downfall of the game and how severely the hacker problem was starting to become. You were lucky enough to find a server without a hacker. It became a meme. Almost every server in apoc had more than 2 hackers. The war was over. Hackers won. Even though most of them didn't script or probably didn't even mean to damage the game in a way where it would kill it, it was enough to curb stop the entire community and curb stop Gus's motivation to work on the game. Good news! It is now 2017. A new apoc game was announced, Apocalypse Rising 2. Every AR fan was excited. It cost 1,000 Robux, but for the dedicated fans, this was no problem. A $10 fee. Easy. Everyone was waiting until July 28th. The game looked very promising to the eye. Gus hyped the game very much on his Twitter. July 27th was here, super close to the release date. Some fans even started to cancel plans that they had with others, skip school, hell, even skip work to play the new update. I myself remember staying up extra late than my usual sleepy time just to play the game. Hype, hype, hype! What could go wrong? Nothing. July 20th came, yay! And it was all shitted on by Gus with a disappointing tweet of "We failed to make our July 28th release." This pissed off the fans. The game was worked on for nearly a year and the game still wasn't ready for alpha. Fans were furious as many canceled plans or many stayed up late. The game was already being memed. What further annoyed fans is that the fact that Gus waited until the very last minute of the day to announce the delay. He could have done it in the beginning of the day. This is what angered a lot of people. In this Reddit thread, Gus did apologize and talked about how the development team worked so hard for weeks straight, but most of the fans didn't care. Some fans demanded a discount of the 1,000 Robux for the delay, and most agreed with this. And what did Gus do? Pull the classic Roblox move, of course, which was just ignoring it. The release date was to be pushed. Fast forward in 2017 still, the game finally launched, still at 1,000 Robux, no discount. Here is the gameplay, yay! I honestly don't like it, and this marks the end of my commentary. I cannot say if apoc 2 will fail or not. 2 years later, however, the game is still in alpha. As of the day of this video was made, of course. In the future, it will be out of alpha and free to play. I have absolutely no idea if the game will be successful or not. I cannot predict that, and that is up to time to decide apoc's fate.